Good morning, everybody out there. Welcome to the first week here of college football mornings here at Campus to Canton. As always, I am Austin.
And this is Colin.
Matt spoke a little bit yesterday about kind of the weekly schedule that we're going to have here. And as you can see on the screen, we are Waiver Wire Tuesday, guys. We're going to be coming to you every Tuesday morning here during the season. With some players that are less than 5% rostered on Fantrax. Those tend to be the guys in most leagues that are going to be most universally available. So, for instance, we're going to have a couple names here today. If your waivers are open, I'm sure in some leagues, your Chandler Morrises might be available. I'm trying to think who else might be available. Austin Reed might be available, the quarterback from Western Kentucky. Some of these guys. But we're not going to talk about them because they are already over 5% rostered. So again, make sure that you are looking out for obvious players because those might not be the guys that we are always highlighting here on the show. Without further ado, Colin, let's start off here on the list. We've got some intriguing names, some stash potential, and then maybe some sleeper CFF players. First up, Austin Bolt, wide receiver, tight end from Boise State. If you guys remember Jack Beck from last year at LSU, a kid that kind of had that cheating eligibility, was really just a receiver playing tight end. You basically have the same thing with Austin Bolt, who's about 6'3", 215. And it is rumored that he's going to potentially be the second wide receiver, the second go-to guy there behind Stephon Cobbs at Boise State, a passing offense that's always worth investing in. Should be another pretty good year there for Boise. And Bolt, with that kind of cheater tight end eligibility, could end up being a guy that can win you a league down the stretch, especially if he does settle in as that second guy. So Austin Bolt, no relation to Hussein as far as we know, a guy that I am targeting on some waiver wires here before the season kicks off.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Good call on the top target there. Another guy that I'm looking at is Damon Claiborne, incoming freshman, class of 2022, running back at Wake Forest. He's a little bit undersized at 5'10", 180 when he was coming out, but he's been making some noise for himself here in camp. 24/7 Sports seems to think he's probably about third, fourth on the depth chart right now. I think there's a shot that he burns that red shirt. And, the starter, Quentin Cooley and Christian Turner, aren't really solidified options there. He's been really impressing. So seems like there's an opportunity for him, especially if he could get in through special teams as well and just continue to earn more of a role throughout the season.
Yeah, and was a top 10 kid according to 24/7 Sports. So always an intriguing disparity there when you find a guy that they are significantly higher on than consensus. Let's head over to Arkansas, another running back, Rashad Dabinion. I know what you're going to say. Austin, Arkansas already has like 80 running backs. Their quarterback's basically a running back. What are we doing here? Why am I adding more Arkansas running backs? And I think the answer is simple. Dabinion has been impressive in camp. The coaching staff has gone out of their way to consistently compliment him, to say that he's looked good during his reps at practice. And he's gotten some opportunity with well, this is embarrassing. This is what happens when you do things live. Dominique Johnson, I believe, has been injured for most of the offseason. Sounds like he's potentially back here in the last day or two. But Dabinion is taking advantage of that vacancy. He's probably not to be a startable option for you, but if a running back goes down there, I think he will get touches. And just think about how dynamic that running game is there at Arkansas. Guys like AJ Green, like Rocket Sanders, and the aforementioned Johnson. Definitely a talented backfield and definitely an offense that knows how to produce and develop those guys. So Dabinion is an interesting guy. 5'10", 190. He's a little undersized. He's kind of the scat back, I would say, of the quadruple headed monster. But definitely, if you have a bench spot, you could do a lot worse than stashing Dabinion.
Yeah, we kind of liked Dabinion coming out as well. Check out the freshman ranks that we had. But another guy that we have targeting here, kind of sticking with the theme of Austin Bolt opening the show, that's Trent Penix, tight end from NC State. Now, he does have dual eligibility on Fantrax as an RB and a tight end. Seems like he's going to be playing that H-back role, probably a little bit more of a tight end, but he's been drawing some buzz early here in camp. everything they're hearing is he's going to be an even bigger part of the offense this year than what he was last year. There's really no clear-cut wide receiver one on that roster. In the Discord just yesterday, Chris Moxley was dropping a couple names. People were disagreeing. They were saying, no, I think it's going to be Thayer Thomas or Porter Rooks. So a really muddy wide receiver situation. Great opportunity for Trent Penix to step up, earn more of that passing attack role. And with the tight end position that can be kind of volatile, waivers can be kind of thin at that position. He's a good guy to get in on early.
People talk about Jaheim Bell as kind of that H-back type guy down in the Carolinas, but Penix is a guy that can certainly do a lot of similar things, although probably not that level of an athlete. Aquarius White, I know I did a freshman profile on him on the C2C pod. I believe he was in the C2 the freshman guide. Just a really dynamic incoming freshman here at Tennessee, 5'10", 160, and nicknamed Squirrel. Has been, shocker, probably the fastest, most dynamic guy at Tennessee, which if you watched him at all in high school is really not surprising. We speculated a lot this offseason on the C2C pod on other shows that the likelihood of him being a year 1-0 at wide receiver is really, really small because he has the ability to be a really good returner. And it sounds like he's going to have some sort of a role doing that this year. So don't be surprised if he takes that job over early. We like guys that get on the field any way possible as freshmen. And often a lot of these guys that are super dynamic, the coach staff just wants to get the ball in their hands. So a signal that good things are probably to come could certainly do a lot worse than following that line of thinking. So Aquarius White down at Tennessee, if he gets on the field, he offers something that I think not a lot of guys on this team do in terms of stretching the field, deep playability. And this offense can support multiple wide receivers. We know Cedric to be a guy there. We don't really know what's behind him. They're trying to get Brew McCoy eligible. Is Jalen Hyatt finally going to be a thing? No. Who? Yeah. So Aquarius White, a guy that I have been stashing in deeper leagues. And I think even in a normal 12-team, 45-man roster, if I've got a bench spot, he's a guy that maybe I'm willing to take a chance on here before he potentially breaks out.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call there too. He's a great candidate to not be a year 1-0 this year, just given, like you said, the lack of options that they have in the passing game, lack of proven options they have in the passing game, the fact that he provides something different, but also that special teams value that he can bring as well. Last guy that I have here is wide receiver transfer from Iowa State to Texas, Tariq Milton. Now, Tariq Milton was in the class of 2017. Before he committed to Iowa State. So he's a little bit of an older prospect, but given the injuries that we've seen at Texas, the skill positions, Nayor going down, Troy O'Meary kind of never can really stay healthy. Sounds like he's healthy right now. Roschon Johnson went down as well. So they're kind of looking for other pieces in this passing offense besides Xavier Worthy, besides Bijan Robinson, likely Jordan Whittington as well. And Tariq Milton is a guy that's been highlighted as a standout as well. Seems like he is potentially a candidate to replace Nayor on the outside there. He's a little bit smaller. He's about 5'10", 5'11", 195 pounds. So, not going to be the like for guys are going to get on the field at this point for Texas's passing game. Given that Quinn Ewers has been named the starter, I think that raises everybody's floor. So Tariq Milton is a guy that I think it's a good idea to target right now as well.
Yeah, if you're really convinced this is going to be a good passing offense and you don't want to invest in some of the more questionable assets on the fringe of this roster, your Savion Reds at wide receiver, your Brennan Thompsons at wide receiver, the Jaleel Billingsleys at tight end, I think that you could certainly do a lot worse than Milton, who definitely has that chance to break out. All right, guys, that is going to do it for us. We will be back again next Tuesday after the week 0 games. Don't know if we'll have any big names from those games specifically. We'll be scouring the waiver wire and just making sure that we are paying attention to any trends moving there. Until next time, guys, I'm Austin.
And this is Colin.
Enjoy your day.